Okay, we're gonna go over bait ranges and exactly when you should use them, when you shouldn't even bother waiting for one, and also looking at what actual order blocks to look for. Because if you have a bunch of hires, you might be looking at every single range with that order block in it. So we're just gonna make sure we understand what we're looking for in the range and when a bait range should be used. So we're just gonna go back a day, and since we closed here, we was already anticipating price coming down. So what we'd be looking for after this high is closed is cycling through this level, cycling through this bearish order block, see if we're gaining up. Once we do gain up, we want to see if we can tap back into it, and this is why I'd be looking for a bait range to show us that we haven't got to our target yet, because it might just be holding something down here. We're looking for a bait range to flip that direction back down. Once we get that bait range, we then can onset shorts to go lower. But once we get to our long-term target, let's say long-term we think it's going to go long, and we finally get to that target, I'm no longer looking for a bait range because I already think it's going up. Why do I need confirmation on top of my confirmation? Because if you're doing that, you're waiting too long. You're going to miss every single setup there is available. So we only look for bait ranges on the opposing side. So if we think long, but we know it can short before it goes lower to long, we're looking for a bait range to confirm that. So if we jump down onto the 15-minute, we can start to look for signs that price action is going lower. So we gain it here, we tap this weekly level, we fail to even get above the first 15-minute higher. So if we go into a 1 minute here, we might be looking at this moment here and seeing that it is clearly showing signs of going higher, but there's nothing saying it's going higher until at this moment, until we at least get to the exterior high here to show us that it's failed to go lower. We've gained the 15-minute range and we can continue lower. So if we go on to the 1 minute, one sec, let's just get that 15-minute high back. We can very well say, if our direction is down, all the way down to here, but we see this hold 'em, and then we see this close, this hold, this range. We know price is going down, but we could come all the way up to here before we go lower. So, because in this moment we think short, but we're seeing signs of potentially longing right now. Once our bait range holds, because remember our direction is down, but momentarily we think it's going to go up, so we can confirm that by waiting for that bait range. That bait range holds, we close the range. This doesn't mean anything, this range here. We close this bait range, we hold this bait range. We could then try this bait range, the midpoint of the order block or the high. We can try this bait range to try and close this high here. So what we would do is this to here, which is 2R. So you're locking up 1R, so that does not have to go far at all. And we will no longer look for longs anymore if we start to fail those highs, right? Because once we start failing those highs, it's the first sign of direction no longer trying to flip higher, meaning we're failing to get up to here. No longer looking for longs up to that point, and this range held us down, which I'm sure if we go to the 5 minute range, it's the first 5 minute range, right? So close the low, we couldn't get above this first range here, this first small range. We get held down by that. Okay. And this is another thing, right? If we're looking for direction to flip again, for example, we think it's going down anyway, but right now we think it's going to long, what we can do is we can wait for a bait range there to show us that it's actually flipping. So we either just take this as confirmation that it's not going higher, and then fail in this high, and then get in here, or we're waiting for a bit more confirmation to just confirm that it's not going higher. So you would have to wait for this to go, and then you would get this this range here. Or you can look at it a bit more in depth, which is what I base a lot of stuff off. You can see that there's a small range here on the 15-second. You can see there's a low, and there's going to be a high somewhere on the 15-second, like around here. We can see that that's a range that held. To me, closing this here, we can hold off of that, but we also closed here. So if this is holding us down, can still come up and hold this. If this closes, this doesn't mean anything to me because we closed the exterior high. This range has been tested. I'm not looking at this as holding. At the very least, I would be looking at, if we're going to have one more shot to move up, it would be here. We didn't close the high for it, so there would be no reason why this should hold. It still can. So in this moment here, I would see we failed this. I thought it could go up to at least attempt to go a bit higher, maybe even just to the daily. We failed the first range here, held the fair value gap, didn't test the order block. But this range was the range it tested into the daily, held us down, failed out. We have a liquidity sweep, right? So if we're sweeping that, we should break the bottom. We break the bottom, we go down. This is enough for me to short. It's already telling me direction's flipping. So if we move on here, we go into a 5 minute. Now you can start using higher time frames for more confirmation if you want to show us that we're going down. Once you close here on the 5 minute, it's confirmed it can go lower, but there's nothing saying it can't test back up into this range before it goes lower. That's the 5 minute again. We closed there in this candle, holding a low, an aggressive sign of moving lower. No reason to come back up to here, right? What's confirming that? For me, it would be closing this immediate low. We go into here. Any reason to flip direction higher anymore after closing here? After closing here. Once we come down and stabilize, that's it trying to flip direction higher again. So obviously that's the momentary longs, and you'd be looking for your bait ranges there. Once you hit a level, we need to confirm it's holding. If it's a level like aggression, so I'm waiting for a bait range. We close. If this closes, we're looking to see if this holds. If this holds, remember, anything at the top of the range, it doesn't have to be the order block, whatever's at the top. Version, fair value gap, order block. Those are your 3 levels. Whatever holds, we react off of that. If you missed that, because you was waiting for that bait range, then you wait for the future. You wait for the future one. If we've not tapped anything of importance, there's nothing saying it can't come back in the future and hold this range. We can see it doesn't test anything on the 1 minute, but I'm sure a 5 minute is probably an order block. We have a low and a high, and I think this is maybe one of the things that's getting a bit confusing for some of you, is this is the order block for the entire range, right? For the entire range. There's an interior range here where this is the same order block for that range. It's equivalent to this exterior range. Closing here, this is the exterior order block. We also have a more interior range where we have a low and we have a high, and this is the order block for that interior range. So sometimes I'm looking at things in steps, whereas, for example, if we close here, I'm looking at this as holding. Also, when we close here, I'm still looking at this to hold again, so it can hold twice. And then I'd be looking for if this range closed and this one didn't, I'd be looking at this range to hold us down, to break this, and then to come back up to the exterior range. So to make this not confusing, we'll just do a couple examples on what I mean by that. So if we close this here, and we haven't closed this yet, so in this range, we can cut the chart from here. I know that we should break this low because we failed the high. This interior range showed us that as well. This interior range, right, we closed, we held the order block. This is the next interior range to hold to break exterior. So we're using interior ranges to break exterior. We break interior here. We haven't closed exterior yet. We swept the top. We're not going to sweep the bottom. We're going to break the bottom. We look for the range that closed the interior. This range closed interior. We test this range. Okay. If we want confirmation that this is the range that's going to hold us down, we would wait for this to close to then get that to show us we're going lower. Or like I said, we're not looking for a bait range at every single trade. If we have an idea that something should go lower, we're just getting in right when that shows us it's going lower. We shouldn't care about this. If it did close, it didn't. We swept the top. We should break the bottom anyway of this range. So once we get to the interior order block, we need a close exterior. So I'm using this range here. This range here to break down because we haven't got there yet. So once my order block holds and we hold the 5 minute order block low, for me this is enough confirmation that we can take this candle down to break exterior all the way down to there. Because we haven't got to our target yet, there's no reason to flip direction. So I'm taking that, even if it's closed, because this is an interior range. We got to exterior, so if we're at an exterior target, interior ranges, unless we have an aggressive move up that happens about once or twice a day, it's not going to do so. It won't just rip up. So target's down here, right? That's what we would target. Cool. Once we get to this target, we'll flip through time frames just to see if we've actually closed the range, which we have. Oh, my bad, I accidentally went to gold. Okay, we're back. Right, so we closed it on the 15, right? If we close it on the 15, we have to understand that we can come all the way up to here. There's nothing saying we can't come all the way back up to here now, because we closed it on the 15 minute. Right, so if the low wasn't here and it was around here, and the order block was around here as well, and we was looking at direction to flip up to here to take us down, and we wasn't aware of the 15-minute range, we wasn't aware of the 15-minute close as well, and we can go deeper up, we could take an unnecessary loss there. So we need to be flipping through our time frames to see if we've still closed the 15 as well as the 5. Obviously the 5 will close before the 15. So for example, we could be looking at this candle here. If this closed here, we could be looking at this candle to flip us up. Wait, hold on, I'm on the wrong time frame. If this closed here, we could be looking for price action to flip us all the way up to the order block, but we haven't closed the 15-minute yet, so we'd basically be invalidating our idea of we can go lower. We need to close the exterior 15-minute range. Because we close it on the 5, we're basically saying that's good enough, we can proceed up before lower, but really we still need to go lower before we go higher, because we haven't closed it on the exterior range yet. So if you close a let's say you was to close a, I don't know, let's just say this is a 1 minute low, right? Let's say it closed, but it only closed on the 1 minute, and we didn't close on the 15-minute yet, and we're looking to long all the way up to here because we closed it on the 1 minute. We could get into a trade, and then it just dips all the way down because it hasn't closed on the 15-minute yet. It's looking to close on the 15-minute. Once it closes it, and then we can look for a trade up. If we've only closed it on a small time frame, it's most likely going to hover around there, go a bit lower for about 15, maybe even 20 minutes, close it on the 15-minute, and then confirm the move higher. So in this moment here, right, like I said, if we close it on the 5-minute in this candle, if it loads, that would be nice. Or not. Okay, we're back. I had to restart the whole thing. It took a couple of minutes, but okay, what I was saying, if we was to close this on the 5-minute, but we hadn't closed on the 15-minute yet, we might be looking for longs up to here. But why would we be doing that if the 15-minute hasn't closed yet? So what we would have to do is we close the 5-minute, we look for an interior range up that can flip us down to close the 15-minute, because we haven't closed exterior yet. So we would be looking at a 1 minute time frame, and we'd be looking for the range above to flip us down to close it, because we haven't closed it yet. So there's no reason to flip higher. So like I said, if this closed, be looking for the next range up. This is the range, right? We were looking to see if this range is going to hold. We can clearly see it low held, which is a good sign of aggression. We also have that 5-minute order block as well, whatever it was in here. This is a good sign but we can still go lower because we haven't closed exterior yet. Once we close exterior, then we can start looking for longs back up if it's going to let us. So if we just keep going, jump to the next range. So like I said, we've now closed on the 15-minute. What we're looking for is, are we going to hold aggressively? Aggressive is going to confirm I move down a lot more, but I'd still kind of want to wait for a bait range to hold off of an aggressive move because it's aggressive. If we come up to here, which is the least aggressive part of the range, the order block, I'm not looking for a bait range to hold. I'm just getting in off of it. If we're looking for aggression, I want a lot more confirmation that that's going to happen. If I'm looking for a slow move, I don't really need confirmation that's going to happen. So we're on to the 1 minute. We think it should stabilize to at least come up to here. I'm sure there is a level it can stabilize off. If we just quickly just go all the way back, go into the 4 hour real quick. Let's see if there's anything that we can look at that might be able to stabilize off of. Wait, that line would actually help me, so I know where we are. Cool. So we do have this 4 hour range, right? It held aggressively off the high of this range that moved us higher. We can now look at this range, go a bit deeper. It should hold off of something in this range, right? So we could just mark out the whole range from here to here, all the way deeper, and we can look to see if it's holding off of something to flip us higher. Okay, so now we to move back. To here. Okay, cool. Once it moves up, it's showing us it's holding off of something in that range. Are we holding aggressively? Well, we'd be looking for this. That's held aggressively, right? That's enough. This is your next range here. Aggressive held. Held it, close the range. This held. So that's your bait range. Close here. This is nothing here is going to hold. Already closed it. There's no reason to flip up. We haven't closed the low yet. We close this. This is the next range to come to. Remember, we didn't close the exterior, so there's no reason to come back up to the order block for the exterior range. Next interior range, the order block would be here. We test out. This is where we take our trade. Our direction's down. We're holding off of aggression. That's the only reason we wait for a bait range. If it came up to here, and like I said, it's a slower move. We're holding off the order block of the range. This goes for any time frame. And my direction is down. I'm holding a bearish order block. I'm not looking for a bait range. So like I said, this is for any time frame. So now we closed it here. If I was looking for another short down, I'll just take it straight up off of that. If my like I said, if we're going off of aggression, I am waiting for a bait range, right? So there's times where you're waiting for bait ranges and times where you're not. If your direction is down and we're coming up to the higher point of the range and we close the low, I'm not waiting for a bait range. If we close the low and we hold off the low and wait for a bait range to show us we're holding off of the low to go lower, because that's an aggressive move. It's more likely to foul if we don't wait. So, oh, this is the 5-minute time frame. My bad. Let's go back here. Okay, we closed it, right? We closed this range. We're looking to come back up to this range. Did we close 15-minute range if there is one? Go back a candle real quick. We closed it. Okay, cool. So we're looking to come back up to here now. If we foul aggressive, we should come back up to here. So we closed it here. Are we holding the very immediate range? No. So there's no signs of aggression, so no reason to take a short here. The bait range isn't holding. So what can we expect? We can expect to come up to the 15-minute order block and not wait for confirmation. And what we would be doing for failing the bait range, it's obviously showing us we're going higher. So if we want to get a long up, we would wait for a bait range to hold and show us it's going higher. You can use 15-minute range at 15-second time frame if you want a very fast entry to just show if we're holding a 15-minute range, that's our bait range. Let's enter on the next one for confirmation to go higher, because a lot of the times you're going to get these moves here where there's going to be no trades back down. You're going to miss the whole move, so you'd either have to use 15-second time frame or just straight up miss it and just get the trade for your direction, right? Your direction is down. You don't need to be in every single trade, so if you miss this whole thing, who cares? Just wait for your trade up here. So what I would do is I would just walk away. You can always set a timer, an alert on Top Step to notify you when it gets to around your entry. So let's say 15 minutes here, you could walk away, set a timer here. Once it gets here, you can come back and then, you know, wait for it. Because if you're sitting here because you missed it, you might try and get a spontaneous trade up to there because you're annoyed that you missed the whole move. So right, we failed the low. We failed to hold off it aggressively to move lower, so we know it's going to go higher. We missed that, right? We walk away, we wait. We get told it's pushing to our price. It pushes to our price. Once we get to our price, we take a trade off of it. So what would be a reason to get into here? For me, like I said, doesn't have to do the order block. Just the highest fair value gap is fine. If we're holding that and we're failing the immediate high that first tested into that, that's enough for me. So I'm looking at, once we get here and we close it, I'm looking to take that down. My target's 2R, so I'm taking it to there. That's my whole trade. We fouled the very immediate high that tested the top of the range with the highest fair value gap. What's showing us that's holding is the failure. If we're failing that, we're going to take a stab at the bottom. Here's another thing, right? If we miss that, right, we know if it is going to at least flip to go higher first again before lower. It's not going to do that until we get down to here, because we closed the higher. So that could flip us up before lower. No reason to go higher yet. We're holding the low, so we're looking for an aggressive move down. Once we test it, we're waiting for that bait range. So this tested into it, we swept. Right, if we swept this, we can break the bottom side. Interior low is held, so if this range holds, we can take this range to go lower, because it's confirming we're not going higher. So here would be fine. So we would have, before this happened, this is news, so I'm sure we wouldn't be trading around news, and we don't trade at 11 anyway. Or I think this is market open. Yeah, it's market open. Cool. But anyway, right, we'd be waiting for low to close to low closes. Right, we come to the order block here. We take the midpoint of that. So this would have just been a break-even trade if this wasn't market open. So, I mean, it did go down to 1R perfectly, but that's what I'd do off an aggressive move, right? Wait for the bait range. When the bait range holds, which for me, right, we failed the high, and this is enough to tell us we're not going higher. So I would either just straight up go off of this, because for me, if we are holding the bait range and failing the higher, there's no reason to go higher. So I'd either go for here. If I didn't want that, I wanted more, I'd then wait for the low to go and then go for this. So let's move on to the next thing. We did come up to the target now, so if we're failing off of the low, well then we can take another shot at this. If this wasn't the time it is, I would have taken a trade off of the higher the range to go lower. And remember, this interior range, this order block, is the same order block for the exterior. So once we close this, we can come back up again before going lower, because this is the exterior order block. And it's going to be the order block on a higher time frame, right? So for me, we failed that. We took a trade. Okay, it failed to go lower off of the low. If it's failing to go low off the low, it's going to come back up to the order block. I'm not looking for confirmation for it holding. I would straight up take midpoint here. I would attempt this. This is a pretty much a break even if this didn't go down 2R. Unfortunately didn't. So I know it did. It did go down 2R. Okay, so I would have got filled before it came back up. Would have spiked you out. This is another thing. This is quite typical where it would spike where your stop loss would have been. Obviously we would have been under trade by then anyway. If we're spiking, we're failing the first high as it is anyway, and then we're failing the next high again. If I just took a trade there, I would probably just take another trade again off the same thing. I'd be kind of looking at this as, I don't use ATTs that much anymore, but I'd still be looking at this as this can flip. There's no low yet. 10s here, we had a massive pull down. There's nothing saying we can't take this trade down. Again, because we failed it twice. We're not waiting for a bait range. We already took a trade. We failed here, so this holding shouldn't really do much, which it doesn't. It doesn't break the high. This confirms to me that it's not trying to push higher, and I'll just take the same trade again. So now we're looking for, okay, so right, we got here, right? Like I said, this should be the thing that flips direction. Remember, we haven't closed this low yet, so the reason why this held is because we closed the interior, and this is the range that held, which tested the last exterior range. This is why this has so much strength behind it. So this was always just going to flip us up. Failed that if it didn't want to go higher, which it didn't. We move on. We go on higher time frames to get a bit of a understanding of what's going on. Are we cycling down or are we just going sideways? In my opinion, we're cycling down. We can see the lows we're closing. Right. Like I said, we closed this, but this tested us into this, so I'm not looking for this to hold up to here and cycle us higher. I'm looking at this as target has now been hit. This should only just flip us back up to whatever tested that, so it'd be a 1 minute range, which was that 1 minute range there. Once that flips us, this range is kind of done, so this range shouldn't hold. What we can wait for is this to close. What can be confirming the closing of this would be interior ranges closing. So this is the first low. Is this a range? Or this is a range in the 1 minute, right? This closed, already tested this range. This range isn't necessary anymore. This is the first low. If it closed, we're holding it down. So this is confirming we can go lower. So you could wait for this range to close now because this is holding. This is the first sign of it going lower and getting out that sideways chop. That's another time I wait for a bait range to hold, is sideways prior section, because a lot of the times you see one low close and it doesn't really mean anything, or one high close doesn't really mean anything. You want to kind of see a good amount of lows or highs closed to show that you're going lower. So I would have waited for this to close, because we closed here and we've been failing every single high. If this closed here, I would have went for this. Because it didn't, I would have waited and just missed that move in its entire, which is perfectly fine. Now I would go on to a higher time frame. We close this, remember, right, if we close this, we can still go lower. So we'd have to look for the first range up to push us down to close it on the 15 and the 5 minute. Lucky enough, we close it on the 5 minute already. 15 minute hasn't closed, right? So I'm not looking for price action to come all the way back up. It still can, right? We see it where there's a black candle with a big wick and then it goes down. So that can still happen. But we're kind of just looking for something around here to hold us to break it down on the 15 minute. And then it can push all the way higher if it wants to. Remember, it's going to hold the low, the order block, or the high. So we close that. This is the more exterior low that closed in this whole entire range. So this could be the first thing it holds off of. Okay, cool. So it does. And then it still hasn't closed, so there's still no reason to go all the way higher. I'm sure there's a 15-second range here that we can return up to. Okay, we still haven't closed at this level. If we was going to close that level, it would have closed on this candle here. It didn't, so we know we've not closed yet. So closing this is the first low that closed in this whole range. We could take that to break it down. So we close it right. We'll get there, and we're just trying to get that down for 1 hour to then close a 15-minute candle below here. Okay, now we've satisfied target. So remember, if it's closing the 5-minute, it's not closing the 15. Don't expect it to rocket up, because it still needs to close on the 15 first. So we're still looking for shorts down. Once it closes, then we can start looking for longs up if it's not holding the low. So we'll be wanting to confirm a bait range to show us that we're going higher, right? So we'd want to close this, we would want to see this range hold, we'd want to move up and then take the range. If we don't close this as well, no reason why this should hold. So if we close here, we come up to here, this holds, and then creates a range we can enter off of, where there's no sign of price action going down. We've closed this now. We haven't tested the low yet. So until we get a actual test, I wouldn't really want to be in any of this price action here. It's very choppy. I mean, I know it's 1 AM for price action. If we go into the 15-minute real quick. Okay, we still haven't tested that. Cool. This could be the trade that takes us up. Right, we closed this. We need to come back up to this range. The order block is around that low, so we can now test that. It doesn't test it, so there's no reason. Once you close here, this holds, we missed that. You close a new low, there's now no reason to look at this range at all anymore. This range we can completely just disregard. Right, we're looking to go lower. If it does come up higher now, should be this range we're looking at. So, okay. I just had to take a little break, but we're back. So we're looking for, we're going to 15-minute. Okay, cool. We missed this 5-minute range held us down. We saw that here. An aggressive move down. We can still come up to here. There's nothing saying we can't in the future if it's a higher time frame range. It is. So let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Is there a range here? On the 1 hour? No. No. Yes. We have a high and a low. We close this now. So we either come up, test it aggressively, go down, wait for that bait range to show us it's holding off of that. We're not looking for shorts off of this. We're looking for shorts off of the range that closed, the exterior range, or we come all the way back up to here. We have a daily target here, being the order block high or the order block open. We're continuing shorting until we get to that target, but we're taking longs when we can. 15-minute. Okay, we're holding something. We close this range, we can come up to here. But there is nothing saying it can't come up to this range and take us down. We might get a look of sweep down, close into daily, or we just hold off the the most recent range. There's nothing saying the exact thing has to happen every single time, right? Doesn't have to test into this range. I'd still be anticipating it coming up off of here. But if we're holding here, but I still think it can come higher, we'll wait for a bait range. We're using bait ranges when we're not 100% sure if it's going to hold something. If we are, we're not looking for a bait range. So in this moment here, we're stabilizing. We closed this 15-minute range, closed. We can come up to this range. Anything in this range from the high to the low. I'm not going to mark the high. We can come up to this range before we go lower. We shallowly miss it. Okay, so if we just missed it, then I wouldn't really, well, I mean, you wouldn't have been able to take a trade, and it just moved down aggressively, so you would have missed this whole move. That's what I would have been waiting for. If we miss it, oh well. If we close this, if this is a 15-minute range, it is. Okay, if we close this and we haven't got to target yet, we've closed this, there's still a world we come up if we don't hold off of here. If we hold off of here, we're going to get to our target pretty fast here. If we don't, we're going to take the longs up. So what's confirming the longs is failing here, closing a range, and then taking it up to that before we go lower. Once we get to our target here and we hold something, we're not looking for a bait range to hold because our direction's down. We've got to our target. Remember, if we're holding, the further into the range we go, the less bait range we need to look for. The further down, the more confirmation I probably would want to look for myself. So right now, we're looking at, is it going to hold the low? Remember as well, now this is closed. This is a fair value gap. So if we do hold here, we're also holding a fair value gap, which is the highest fair value gap of this range. So this would be enough. We closed this, right? So I'm not looking at this interior range. I'm not looking at this order block. I'll be looking at this. So midpoint's there, so we can come all the way back up to here. And then go down. Any sign of holding here? No, I'd be looking at this as failing to go higher in the moment. Obviously, big candles up. Do we hold the midpoint? We don't get to the midpoint. Can we short spontaneously? No. So what we would have to do is, now we've hit it, remember on the 15-minute this just looks like a small spike. So it's holding it aggressively. Because we closed on the 1 minute doesn't mean anything. We're holding aggressively. If this was to close and then move up before target, we could take this. We couldn't have taken it here. There was no real reason to get in. If this was the 1 minute here, this spiked, gained, I would take this down. We didn't do that, so we missed that trade. Okay, now we've got to target. I'm not looking for a short if we get to here. I'm looking to see if that direction's changing, so I'd be looking for a bait range. Remember, this is our first target. There's no reason why this needs a hold. Nothing's confirming this is going down yet at all. Okay, so a bait range held. Bait range held. Did we close that? We didn't actually close that. 15-minute we would have closed that. 15 seconds, sorry. We would have held the order block. For me, that's perfectly fine. Order block for the range is here. So if we come back down, we do, and then we get that trade off of it, which is here. This here, right? Why? Because in my opinion. We held this on the 15-second. It's kind of already closed in my opinion. Yeah, it didn't close in the 1 minute, but like I said, 15-second it did. This held. Bait range for me held. Also then getting back above the daily as well is another thing. Coming back down, gaining this candle here, and just getting that up to 2R for me. Just getting up to there, and that would have been the whole entire trade. We've hit target. We've closed this here. Momentarily can flip direction. Remember, we're not looking at this to hold. Can momentarily flip direction back down. If we've not closed the high on the 5 minute yet, we do flip down, and we're holding the daily. Well, then this next candle could just be an immediate rebalance to go higher. So we're looking at let's go into 5 minute real quick. Just get that order block. Okay, so we're looking at this holding to flip us down to the order block. Remember, this order block is for this range, high and low, tiny order block, tiny range, holding. It's also the order block for this range. And here's another thing, it's also the order block for the higher. This is the higher, or this is the order block for it. Might be confusing. I hope it isn't, because it really isn't. We're not looking at things like this, because this is what one of you's doing. So we've closed this, and we've not closed this, right? Imagine this didn't close this high, and then we come up, we close it. For some reason, you're looking at this here as the order block, which makes no sense at all. This isn't anything. This doesn't mean anything. This is nothing. This would have been the order block to look at if we closed it here in this range up. Actually no, it wouldn't have. Sorry. No, I'm getting it wrong. It's the order block to look at. In no point actually. This just isn't anything to look at. This would have been the order block to look at if this brung us all the way up to here. This is the order block for that high, right? We didn't close it. This is nothing. This is a fouled order block, just like every other black candle, right? If that doesn't become an order block, this is nothing. Another thing as well, this is the order block, right, for this range. You're looking at it is, if we didn't close it here again, like I just said, imagine this didn't close, and then it closes here. For some reason you're looking at this. No, this is gone, this is forgotten about, this is nothing. We've created a new order block down, this range failed. This is literally white noise, nothing, not even, wouldn't even consider even thinking about that. And if we do keep doing that, we're gonna just rack up a lot of losses for no reason. That's nothing. Don't want to see you looking at that anymore. This is the order block for this high. This is the order block for this high. This is the order block for this high. Because they're all the same. They're all the same range. It's all the same movement down. It's the lowest black candle for all of these ranges, right? Cool. This isn't the order block for this range. This isn't gonna hold. This is nothing. This is the order block. Remember, it goes high and then order block. Not order block and then high. This is order block and then high. It's high and then order block. Not order block and then higher. Vice versa on the other side. It's not going to be low and then... It's not going to be order block then low. It's going to be low then order block. Cool. So this should just flip us momentarily. We've hit the target now. Cool. So we've hit her. Is there a reason to look for a bait range? Not really. Not really a point. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I wouldn't have. My direction's up. We got to where we should get to. I would have taken this. I just would have got break even. Right. You know, it moves up. Break even, comes back down. Okay. We failed to move up off that first range. Is this a sign of failure? No. No at all. No sign. Also as well, completely just forgot what I was talking about ages ago. We closed the higher right order box here. Not here. Okay, so order block tested. Right. Have we closed the low? No. So does this mean anything? No. We closed the higher after closing the low. So this is clearly invalidating. It's trying to go a bit lower here. So if this holds, close this, we can get off of this. Because we've kind of closed both sides, I don't want to take a spontaneous loss. Okay, cool. Now this is showing that we can go lower. Right, because we've tried to hold this, it's failed. Okay, we've closed this now. We haven't closed this. This is kind of our target right now. It's kind of showing us that this is failing, and we can dip down to here. No reason to flip direction higher yet, because we've not closed the low. We've closed the low of this range. Is it a 5 minute range? Yes it is. We've closed it as well. Not closed here, so now we've closed this, we can come back up. Okay. Okay, close it now. Did we close at 5? We didn't. Okay, if we didn't close at 5, we still need to close it on the 5 minute, meaning we still need to close it on the 15 minute. So I'm looking for price action to come back down once we fail it here. We fail it. This is the range above to hold. Test back into daily, sweeps the top. I still think we need to go lower. We held aggressively off the low and the order block, the daily level here. No reason to go high up into this range. I would have just taken this down, 2R there. We still need to go lower, right? So if we get another opportunity, we would. Five minute. Failing to go lower. Okay, so now we're failing to go lower. So this is now where we classify this as a sweep. Once we fail it, you know, we close it on the 1 minute, but then we fail it on the 5. Classify as a sweep. No, it's classified as a sweep. This range closed. Would we be looking at this to hold? Momentarily, yes. So we now think it's going to go back up again, and this is still trying to hold. If this flips, takes us back down to the order block. Never does, holds aggressively off of the most recent high. Okay, if we're looking for confirmation of that most recent high, I would have waited for the bait range to hold. In this case, nothing got created, so unfortunately would have missed that. Okay, what can we look at now? Go into higher time frames. If we're going to go higher, this is our target, so we still need to close that. Didn't close it on the 5. We swept this side, so we should break this side. So we'd be looking for something down here to break us up, which is exactly what happens. So close on closing the 1, still needs to close on the 5. We come back down to here. Unfortunately, once again, this is ripped straight up. We would have missed this whole thing again. But I would have waited to see if something was holding here, and then taken something off of it to close here. Because we swept the bottom, we need to break the top, which we do here. We break this. We're now at that top part of the range. This is going to flip us down. If this is actually holding, we should only go to the order block. So we're looking for that confirmation that this is holding. We closed. We're holding a low. Okay, this is holding. Doesn't hold for long. Just holds the bait range. Doesn't create a new range. Goes higher. Cool. So let's go back onto that 15-minute. This range is blown through. So now we kind of have everything here to piece together that we're not going lower. We can go into the hourly. We have a high. We've closed the high. Hourly high has been closed, which is also the order block. So we can come back down to here before we go higher. What can bring us down to that? The holding the range above, which is right here. What is that first line? Oh, this is just the order block. Okay, cool. So we're holding aggressively. This should move us down. Okay. First place it should stop. We're not looking at any of this just random stuff. Gonna stop here. So we can look at this range here because it's attached to the hourly. If this fails, it's gonna come all the way down. All the way down because the next level is the 15-minute order block for this range. Okay. Go to 1 minute. So if we fail here, it's gonna come to here. Okay, is it failing yet? No, nothing saying it's failing yet. Doesn't have to hold within a second if it's a higher time frame level. It does if it's a 1 minute. It's not. So if we close here, okay, this is enough to tell me it's trying to go higher. $15-minute. So we came to the lowest gap. That's the one thing I missed here. We came to the lowest gap of the range, right? There's no fair value gap lower. This is it. Okay, cool. We test it. Just rip straight up. No entries. I thought even if I was to get in aggressively, there's still no entries. So cool. So we held that. No reason to go lower anymore. Right after we hold it, no reason to go back. So once that happens, this is our target. So if we was to create some sort of cycle here with reasons to get in, a couple of reasons could have been going to higher time frame. First high here. We're holding that first high, right? So this is what we could look at once it holds. Once it holds, we're no longer looking at price action coming all the way down. We're now looking at, haven't got to our target yet, at all. Haven't got to our target. This is holding. If this is going to hold, it should just flip us. We close the high, coming all the way back down to the lowest fair value gap, inversion fair value gap, and order block holds. This is where you can take your trade up to this high. So there's no reason to come back lower because we're holding something of that range below to break us higher. Because we closed the 5-minute range doesn't mean we could come all the way down. The 15 still needs to close, so this is kind of scenarios where it's not going to come all the way down. It's just going to stay on the top range to go higher, because it still needs to close higher. Why is it going to come all the way down and waste about 2 hours just to come back up? Once it closes, and then we can look for it to come back down, because now it's closed a higher time frame. And what happens? Comes back down to the fair value gap. We go back a couple of candles. Go back a couple of candles here. So we know it's going to come down once it hits our target. Are we looking for a bait range? No, because we want to go higher. So what are we doing? We're just getting in off of this, targeting 2R, because we hit a target. We hit a target, right? If you do want to wait for it, then you wait for this higher. You wait for this higher. Is this a valid trade? Yes, it is. This would be your confirmation and your bait range. We close this, right? Close this. This is confirming we're going higher. We test into the only inversion fair value gap here. We test into it, we gain that candle, we get this order block here, because this is a range, high and a low, right? We get that to go higher. If we miss that, is there any reason to go down to here? No, because we already went down to here, coming off of here. So we close this, we hold aggressively off the higher. Can we take this trade? Well, why not? We could take this trade. We came down to this range, right? We're holding high, we're holding aggressively, and we get that aggressive move up. So once a range has been tested, it's not going to come back down again, right? Also, we'll just go back through a lot of the points I made in this video, because I'm going to end it here now. If we've closed a low on the 5-minute, but we've not closed it on the 15-minute, expect it to go lower still, not higher, because it's still not closed the higher time frame. This goes for any time frame. If we've closed it on the 4-hour but not the daily, still assume if you're going up long term, it's not going to randomly go all the way down to that 4-hour now, because we closed the higher. It's going to hold off of some higher point, probably create a couple of 1-minute ranges, confirm you're holding, and then go break it on the daily. It's the same with every time frame. It's like what I was saying here, right? We need to close here. We closed a 5-minute range. Expect that to hold. Expect that to hold. Doesn't need to go down to here. Still needs to go higher. So once you close here, you're still looking to close here. Okay.